Areas around North Dakota are recovering from the storms that happened in April. Governor Doug Burgum submitted a disaster declaration following them. KX News' Christina Randall takes a closer look at the declaration and what's next in the recovery process.
The big storm event that kick-started this disaster was on April 22nd. Over that weekend, the storm entered the state and took down nearly 7,000 power poles and 550 miles of line in the western part of the state. In the eastern part, the storm brought so much rain it kick-started major flooding. Flooding began to subside on May 25th, marking the end of the disaster. So what happens next?
Once the event ended, the next step is to go out and do damage assessments. So we had a staff of about 6 guys working with each of the counties and all of the rural electric cooperatives that had damages to get damage information, photos, and site information so we could verify if we had enough damages to go forward for a presidential disaster declaration.
Governor Doug Burgum submitted that declaration on June 23rd, and the declaration covers 40 counties. As of right now, the team has tracked around $57 million of damages so far. Currently, the NDDES is done surveying areas for damage and are taking on the task of looking to see what counties are eligible for the Public Assistance Program.
About $40 million of that alone is just in damages to electrical infrastructure in the west. But there is quite a bit more in the east that is to be accounted for, which we'll be collecting now that the disaster is in place, and we're going to be working with each of the counties and cities that were impacted by the flooding.
Through the PA program, FEMA can reimburse local governments, states, tribes, and certain private nonprofits for up to 75% of their eligible costs related to restoring public infrastructure to pre-disaster conditions. Another program the NDDES is looking for eligible applicants is the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program.
Whatever the disaster ends up costing, we'll get 20% of that set aside that we can use for mitigation projects that will help prevent damages.
Darren Hansen, Homeland Security Division Director, says he's proud of the progress his team is making.
I'm really happy with the way our team is performing right now. We've got one of the best recovery teams in the entire nation. We're what we call state-led, which means that we're not always waiting on the federal government to make decisions for us. So when we get that information, we can make the decisions closer to the people who are really impacted.
Hansen says one of the main things that makes North Dakota great is how the community comes together when a disaster happens.
This certainly isn't our first one. We've had 40 presidentially declared disasters since 1993, so we're getting a little bit too good at this, it seems like. But the people come together, they help each other out, and they just get the work done.
NDDES has coordinated the distribution of more than $2.4 billion in disaster recovery assistance to local, tribal, and state entities since 1993. In Bismarck, I'm Christina Randall.
As part of the PA program, eligible applicants are required to submit a request for public assistance. All RPAs must be submitted through the FEMA Grants portal website by August 12th.